Alright, welcome back to my another video and with another lecture for CFT 1063 Basic Multimedia and Web Technology. And today I will be giving a week 7 lecture, which is the elements of multimedia. We have another elements of multimedia, and as for today, we're going to have a look on next element, which is animation. Alright, so let's get to it. Okay, let's see. So at the end of the lesson, you should be able to first define the meaning of animation, uh, and then explain how animation works as a precision of vision, and give types of animation and examples. Describe the storyboard and its use. We're gonna have a look a little bit on a storyboard and how it is related to the animation. So elaborate animation as an element of multimedia. Okay, so what is animation? So the creation of illusion of movement using a series of still image. Animation is created from the illusion of movement, and this illusion of movement is called the illusion is called persistent of vision, meaning that from the persistent of vision, it will create some illusion of movement that will derive to the creation of animation. So this is an example. What is persistent of vision, or also known as POV? Traditionally refers to the optical illusion that occurs when visual perception of an object does not cease for some time after the rays of light proceeding from it have ceased to enter the eye. Meaning that when we are present in front of our eyes with a sequence of images, there is some gap between images that will present, that gap that will it's like that will buy some time, and will normally did not realize this gap happen. And when the images will be presented to us in a sequence in the appropriate time, so we will see it as an animation. So this is an example, persistent of vision. So brain retains image event that no longer visible. Okay, when we are present to us an image A, and afterwards we will take off the image from our vision, but somehow our vision will retain the images for some time before another image come in, which is the image B. So this series of repetitive action happen, present to us, of repetitive images frame by frame present to us, and we will see it as an animation. So brain can only process series of images as separate image if it sees less than 12 images in a second. Okay, so our brain will see the image as a separately if it less than 12 images in a second. The speed, the frame per second. If the image appear faster than that, 12 per second, the image begin to merge into each other, creating the illusion of movement. Alright. So in modern era, television and movies use 24 to 30 frames per second. This frame per second standard is called frame rate. So if you see on your right hand side of your screen, you see there's an animated visual created by Zoetrope. It's an animation device in 19th century. It used to create an animation. Okay, so I think another example that is close to you, you can imagine maybe it's a flip book. Let's say if you used to play a flip book, you will create a different stick animation and on every page, and then you just flip the book, and this action of flipping it on a appropriate time is called a frame rate, frame per second, frame rate, and then a certain frame rate will allow you see the flip image, sequence of flip image as an animation. So technically speaking, that is a persistent of vision. Okay, is an animation become less smooth or smoother with the increase of frame rate? So what do you think? Well, it depends on the eyes. Maybe with the increment of the frame per second, it will make the animation become more smoother, but up to certain period of frame rate only. Because if faster than that, probably our eyes couldn't even realize or capture the speed of the frame per second. Right, so the use of animation. So what are the use of animation in multimedia purposes? So maybe the first one is to attract attentions and maybe illustrate concept that involve movement. The third one is present contents in entertaining ways, because some content is quite hard to explain, but it will become interesting and entertaining when it will be present in the form of animation. And animation in interactivity and navigation helps to more effective engagement of user and application. So maybe in a multimedia usage for the web or apps, you might want to add some animation to help in building a rapport between user and application. So it results to a more engagement, right? So the fifth one is a powerful medium of communications. So this is the some example of animation that you might find in multimedia purposes, maybe in application or website or slide. So okay. So this will add more value to your multimedia elements and to your multimedia application, and also helps helps to create more effective engagement between your user and your apps. All right. So one of animation normally use animatic GIF. Okay, used widely in web, social media, apps, stickers, and chat apps. So this is an example of GIF where you might convert the animation into a images format known as GIF that allow you to use it in various platform of multimedia such as mentioned on your screen. Okay. So apart from it, animation also can simplify complex concept as used in multimedia and application and courseware. Okay, also this is an example of the use of animation maybe in a courseware, whereas to explain certain limitation that couldn't explain or express using words and presentation, animation might help to solve the problem. Okay, so another example of animation is doodle animation. Also helps in learning in various subjects such as science concepts, mathematical calculations, and drawing techniques. So these are another type of animation that normally seen nowadays to explain something about certain issues or certain service provided or promotional or whatever uh, to the audience. So this is another type of animation that can be used. I believe that this is a I will not say a trend, but I think I've seen it. The usage of it has increased in term of numbers nowadays. Okay, so apart from it is a 2D motion graphics also become an effective multimedia presentation. So this is the most common case where normally people will use motion graphics with help of today's technology, where producing an simple motion graphic animation for presentation is no longer a hassle. Okay, another apart from it, we also have 3D animation, which is a very attractive and entertaining. This is an example of characters from 3D animation. You might recognize those characters. Oh, okay. And next type of animation. What are the types of animation available? So first we have a hand-drawn animation, and then the second one we have stop motion animation, and computer animation. So let's see one by one. So what is hand-drawn animation? Hand-drawn animation is basically an animation that is hand-drawn. Okay, so the process of creating the animation is a traditional process where artists will help to draw the character of the animation frame by frame using their own hand. Okay, it's a artist draw each characters and movement individually. So it's also time consuming back in the days. The step are draw picture first, color it on celluloid, and merge the pictures to an animation. So the picture will be created in frame by frame, and then it will be color, and then it will compile together to create an animation. So yeah, it also require a massive amount of labor to produce an animation, so it will cost to very expensive due to the salary that have to be paid to the manpower. Okay, next we have stop motion animation. Slightly easier compared to the hand drawn animation. Slightly less time consuming. Will maybe. Uh, so normally people will use joint figure or clay figure that can be moved to make motion. Okay, so the clay, they will create a character made from the clay. Inside the character they will have a armature or like a rig bone that allow the character to be able to move and pose to a certain pose, and then it will capture the image of the character frame by frame. Often used still images can be produced. Normally it will use still images where they will capture the scene frame by frame, and can be produced in inexpensive software. Uh, yeah, maybe, but since after you have produced you manage to capture the images frame by frame, then only you need a certain simple software to compile the images to create an animation. Okay, let's see. Then we have the computer animation. Alright, so this is the most commonly used nowadays, whether it's a 2D and 3D. Okay, basically the process of animation is created in the computer, using using dedicated software, a specialized software that allow you to create a character, rigging, bone, and then result to producing an animation. Okay, yeah, all right. So next gonna have a look on storyboard. So what is a storyboard? A storyboard is a sequence of drawing, typically with some directions and dialogue, and representing the shots planned for an animation, a film, or a television production. So in case of your usage, you might consider using storyboard. You have to use storyboard in order to plan for your next assignment, which is a podcast video. And even though this is explained in animation lecture notes, but it also apply to other various type of production, video production, such as film or television production, or even simple YouTube videos production. Alright, so this is an example of animation storyboard. Oh, okay. So normally it has a plan shot that you want to use for the animation. It is a simpler version of it capture the scene shot by shot, and to it allow for the explanation, for the storytelling purpose, for the presentation purpose of the ideation of the animation before proceeding to the final stage of making the animation. Okay, so what do you might have in the storyboard? You might have sequence of scenes, camera angles and shots, characters and object movement, represent using arrow, some description to direct the animators. So might add some description below of the each panel, so that whenever people read your storyboard, it can understand what happening in your storyboard. Arrow and markers to instruct movement. Yeah, arrow. Dialogue for mouse and body movement. Normally the dialogue will be written below. And other important information that you find might be might be important to be included in the description. Okay, so work with animation. There are some things to be considered when you're working with animation for your multimedia purposes. The first one is don't use it too much. Too much animation in the slide or screen may cause noise and will interrupt users' attentions. Okay, use animation only when you need to, because it can also, despite being entertaining, but it also can be distracting if you overuse it. Okay, animation is not just for kids, so it can not animation is doesn't mean that it's just a cute characters for to entertain kids. No. So I have explained before, they have a various type of application and use in other industry or other sector. Right, so never use too many scene transition. Stick with one or two transition. Okay. A simultaneous appearance of animated visual, audio, and text will cause cognitive load to user. This is that some researchers have suggest that there are certain level of animation that if it's too much, that will affect some cognitive load to the user, and it will hinder the learning process. Okay, plan the animation before producing it. So these are the 12 principles of animation that should briefly know. This is normally the animators will use this to plan the animation and to make it more entertaining and believable and appealing to the audience. So you can read it later. So okay, let's go through a little bit of the principle of animation. First, we have squash and stretch. Normally, this is if you see in your screen right now, they use ball to represent the principle that used in animation. If you see, they will add some squash and stretch to the ball to make it more to give the illusion of weight, right? So timing and motion. So you can see that they're playing with the timing and motion will give certain different impact to the animation. So anticipation. Let's say it's anticipate the movement of the animation before it actually happens. Staging, follow through and overlapping action. You can see. Straight ahead and post to post action is a basically technique used to animate when you animate it or hand draw it. So the slow in and out is a timing for the animation. Arc is the movement. When you plan the animation, you might consider it will create some arcs to the movement. We have exaggeration, secondary action, solid drawing is for hand drawn animation, and appeal. Appeal is also an principle to the animation. So the animation that you create should look appealing to the audience. Okay, so I think that's it. That's it for the animation. I hope you understand well my lecture. I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any question, as usual, just drop me a comment on the comment section, or you can contact me directly using our Telegram apps or WhatsApp chat and so on. And don't forget to finish up the lecture lah. And thank you for watching, and see you again in the next lecture. Alright, Assalamualaikum.